you actually tell? Did you tell Discord that we were starting?
But send them the link. If I can send them.
When I was a young warthog. When he was a young warthog. Wait, other way around.
Share. Major Buzz.
12 seconds. He could clear the savannah after every meal.
That's you.
Who, me?
Not you.
Oh.
You is in Discord. Discord tries to be helpful.
You know what I think? Like, I think some of the green is literally like splashback from the screen behind us.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. We're not really that far enough away from it.
I think the biggest problem. I think the biggest problem. Actually, we look better on the other screen than what we do on this screen. See, we look much better on that screen. I don't know why.
I'm not even going to start. We're just going to go with whatever happens.
Yeah. How do we sound? I also wasn't right up on the mic, which we generally need to be.
Oh, that's right, because my headset's not plugged in.
Oh. What a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. You know, there's people that are clicking on this, potentially, that have never seen any of this, and they just hear me singing dumb songs and drinking beer, and they're thinking, oh, yeah.
And I think to myself, I need exact change. Yep, that is
I mean, it sounded pretty good last time.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Plus, for the audio version, I'm able to clean up the audio really well now. Yeah. So it sounds almost professional.
So we should be good. Okay. Volume is low. Turn your volume up.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think the volume's low.
Here, I'll turn it up. There you go. That's as high as it'll get.
Okay.
It's not really peaking on our end, but it may make it easier for people.
Yeah, you can up the volume on the board itself, the master volume. Chaos.
Master hand.
Chaos. Control, but you just don't want it to be too loud. Like, I'm going to get loud, and look, I'm already in the yellow. Look at that. Look at that. I'm already up in the yellow.
Okay, then we don't need it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
before we one, you need your beer. I mean, I'm just saying.
You're not wrong. I'm just frustrated that I left my beer.
I know. Huh. Oh my. ¿Qué? Hola, ¿cómo está la biblioteca? ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? How are you, library?
Me no speak it a Spanish.
You don't?
9.
Well, you don't even really speak.
Niet.
You don't really speak German either,
No.
or Russian.
What is no in Japanese?
EA.
Ah.
IIE. EA.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which, if you have a thick southern drawl, yeah. Yes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I love the idea of having a North Carolina accent speaking Japanese.
Go ahead.
Well, onegaishimashita, y'all. Name wa Glenn. Which I also love the idea of the name being Glenn, which naturally would be difficult to pronounce in Japanese. Green. Green? No, Glenn. Glenn.
And the reason is because in Asian languages, there is no distinct variation between the L and the R phoneme.
Atsukohi onanda desu ka? Wait, what?
Which is interesting when they start translating things over into English.
Basically what I asked there was, would you like to drink hot coffee?
Yes.
All the time.
Wait, was it? It's Bibiet.
Yeah. I had...
which I think is please.
I had a cup of coffee today, and I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. So, yeah, I don't think coffee makes you have anxiety attacks, but I think if you're prone to anxiety attacks...
Yeah, it exacerbates
coffee will exacerbate
caffeine is the speeding of drugs.
The quickening?
No, just the speeding.
The speeding.
So it's whatever happens is going to be that much more because of caffeine.
All right, let's have a pause for our audio podcast listeners so I can edit it later and then start the show. After you, asshole. Sorry. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh, wait. I was the one not pausing.
All right. So, Robert, I'm going to ask you a simple question. Can you give me a beat?
What kind of a beat? What,
Give me a
what,
beat.
What cadence? What kind
Give me
of
a beat.
Like, you want me to beatbox?
Give me a beat.
You want me to beatbox?
Give me a beat.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone, to Foally of Man. My name's Chris. With me, Robert. Coming to you live is a 90s drug PSA that's attempting to be hip.
You are the albino rapper.
Oh.
You are the rapper off of a piece of white chocolate.
I am the laughing cow.
Welcome, friends, to another episode of The Foally of Man.
Yes.
I am your host, Robert, along with my co-host,
Chris.
You got it.
He's the Brony, I'm not.
God damn it. Chris is a Brony, and I'm not. I am not a filthy horse fucker. That is not. That is not who I am. Welcome to another episode where we review the fan fiction Fallout, Equestria, Project Horizons, a wonderful tale written by Somber, inspired by the original text Fallout Equestria, written by K-Cat. It is a fan fiction that combines the worlds of Fallout and My Little Pony, and they have cute little, ghoul pony.
I got the title wrong.
Sexlings.
We'll fix that later.
Who got the title wrong?
I got the title wrong. It's chapter 11, not chapter 10.
Oh, people are going to be so confused because they're going to be like, hey, didn't they already talk about chapter 10 a month ago? A month and a half ago?
Are you guys messing up again? Yes.
Yeah, it's just par for the... Hey, I want you to know that it's not us messing up. It's Chris messing up. It's always Chris messing up. At any point in your life...
It's okay. My mother says the same thing.
Yeah, I know she does. She and I talk all the time about what a fuck-up you are.
I mean, you're the one who's really being punished by that conversation, not me.
Really. You know, she popped up in my Instagram feed the other day.
Oh, God.
She wasn't not following her, but I was like, holy shit, block. There's some people that you forget exist. You're like, oh, wait, I do have a public profile. Oh, no. So where was I? So anyways, yeah, the book is Project Horizons. We are talking about chapter 11. Never mind what the title says. It will be correct when you're probably watching this again after it's recorded.
Yes. Unless you're here now, at which point,
the
hi!
crux of the show, as you might have surmised already, is that Chris is a Brony and I'm not, and we want to figure out, can someone who is not familiar with My Little Pony enjoy these books?
Appreciate and understand.
That was our prime directive with the first book. Now It's kind of like, I feel like I have a semantic knowledge of My Little Pony now that surpasses even some Bronies, and that honestly is disgusting. It's really disgusting. You know what really disgusts me? Now that we are on also reviewing Prey, check out that series as well. That's kind of more like Foally of Man After Hours. It's a different feel. It's not the exact same thing. Certainly not the exact same people.
No.
That one doesn't have the Pony Bun of the Week.
No.
So, where's it going with that?
I have no idea.
I know.
Let's get into it.
No.
So
I was getting. Oh, right. Prey was the Prey storyline is actually forcing me to learn about later episodes, seasons. Yeah, and there's just
which I hadn't. Well, I've seen like 2 or 3 episodes of. Still need to get more caught up. Super racist.
So this week's episode,
I am shocked by how racist My Little Pony is, and it's hilarious.
It's like blindingly racist. You're like, oh my god.
All these other creatures? It's like, oh my god, Twilight, you fucking horse supremacist.
These low creatures, they're not ponies. They don't count.
Okay. And actually, you'd be surprised, Mr. to whatever your name is. There's a lot of homosexuality in these stories. I really apologize for it. If that offends you, make sure to leave a comment and hit the like button.
Or just leave.
Hit the like button if you disagree.
Yeah. And remember to smash that subscribe bell so that you get every friggin' notification of us, so that you get stupid Oreo videos, and you can watch us restore a 1991 Miata from time to time. Getting into the story. This week's chapter 11, Blackjack, our protagonist, wakes up in an unfamiliar space with an unfamiliar stallion.
Yes.
Lording over her, who she instantly tries to kill. Because why? I mean, that's the natural thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
After all this, it probably is pretty natural.
I mean, the last time I woke up and you were standing over me, I tried to kill you.
It's understandable.
Yeah, and you're like, shh.
It may have been because of the body paint.
You said, yeah, the neon body paint, and we were in a black room.
Or it could have been the fact that I was applying butterball solution, but that's not the point.
Ooh, yikes. Why are you so sticky? Why? Also, I think that looks infected. Anyways, so Blackjack tries to kill this stallion and realizes, like, wait, he's unarmed. Wait, he's actually helping me. Wait, he doesn't look like he's trying to kill me, and he's got a yellow status bar in the Ice Forward Sparkle.
Wait, I may have actually had sex with him, and I may have enjoyed it.
There is that possibility.
Yeah.
So anyways, he wasn't trying to kill her. They found her, like, maimed on the side of a railroad.
Yep.
Whereas we had where we had last left off with Blackjack, they were going down a railroad.
Yes, and she was going into a memory orb, and apparently, as is described through a series of rather comedic interjections on both parties, she had tapped into what is supposed to be a blocked, password-protected, trapped memory orb, which is supposed to prevent people from seeing the things inside.
You know what the problem is? She didn't do the CAPTCHA before she tried to access the file.
Well, it's because...
Are you pony?
Well, I think what it was...
Identify which are the red apples.
I think what actually happened was she forgot the third word. She remembered Klata Verata and then
Again,
Verata
with the Necronomicon.
With the Necronomicon.
Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, so bullshit. This thing, like, blows up, nearly kills her. She gets trapped in the memory orb. She can't come out. Mm-hmm. But thank God our stallion friend knew the password.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Well, he just knew how to pull her out.
Yeah. And
he's quite a professional at pulling out.
And she, oh, God. Not
Somber, that one's for you. I don't know how it's for you, but I hope you appreciate
shooting
this.
Rosaries all over the back saddle. That's just what it is. Anyways, we find out that he's a priest, and his name is Priest, and he runs a chapel. He's also hanging out with a bunch. He's also hanging out with a bunch of crusaders.
Children ponies.
Yeah,
I mean, so it's pretty par for the course.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Priests just hang out with underage ponies. So yeah, and he used healing magics, which Blackjack didn't realize existed, which is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
She was in a stable. Did nobody in the stable know how to use healing magic? If
not, then that would... Because think about it. If you're in a stable and you aren't exposed to a specific kind of magic and it's never taught to you...
It's a certain kind of magic.
This is a question I constantly have for the Fallout universe. It's like, raiders have, like safes in their hideouts that you can raid that's filled with their stuff. How do they know what a safe is? At a certain point, because a safe is not an inherently understood thing. You could just look at it and be like, there's a giant iron box with a wheel on the front. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's heavy, and we're not moving it because it weighs too much.
It's a video game. It's a video game.
Yeah.
I mean, I know at this point it's not just a video game anymore. But
it's real life.
It is real life. So anyways, it was the Cutie Mark Crusaders who found her on the side of the railroad and spared her. But since they're a bunch of weak children... they left all of her gear hidden in a shed.
Over encumbered.
Yeah, which she would have no way of identifying the shed, but I'll be damned when they described the shed, it popped up on her pip buck.
Because that's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it works. Oh, I guess this is where I need to go.
I love how it actually, magic more explains how everything works in this than it does in Fallout.
But nobody knows where P-21 is. Nobody knows where Morning Glory is. Or the zebra mother and her child. I don't remember their names.
Yeah.
They don't count. They don't matter.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to call her Zenith, but Zenith
no. I just mean better wiped than striped. They don't matter. They're not ponies.
True. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They're not from Equestria.
That's right. And in fact, they really caused the war. Especially as we found out, the massacre that they did at the Hoof.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, do we want to spend all the time like telling exactly what happens?
Not really.
Yeah, I was gonna say Blackjack gets antsy. She wants to go find her gear, but as per usual, Blackjack doesn't just go and find her gear. She also comes across a copy of the Wasteland Survival Guide, as written by
the Didsy Do.
The Didsy Do.
Yeah, Didsy Do.
And she's like, well, God, they should have these stapled outside of every vault, right? Sorry, stable. But no, they don't. Because think about it, it's really written kind of for a stable dweller.
It is. Well, it's written for somebody who doesn't understand anything what's going on, which
Right.
is a stable dweller.
Yeah.
And it's also written, which is something
Which
that
also,
only...
like, if you're writing a book that you're trying to sell, that seems like a small group of people.
Oh, that'd be weird. Imagine a stable where they actually intentionally prevent people from learning how to read. Like, written language is just removed.
Is it just me, or does it feel like there's a little bit of one-upsmanship going on in this chapter?
There is, and I was actually thinking about that myself.
From Somber versus K-Cat.
I feel like
it's like, well, we get Canterlot described, and it's like, yeah, it's a bad place, but this other place over here, it's like totally fucking fucked.
There is. That's the thing, is there's a mix in this chapter, but I think it goes out throughout the entire book, where there's this one-upsmanship where it has to be better or more extreme than the original story.
Right. Well, and instead of having, like, so in the other book, we had not just radiation, but we also had taint, and we had,
which is the radiated goo.
Right. But now we've introduced innervation.
Yeah.
Right. And innervation is like a soul suck, right? It's literally saps the healing and life force out of things. And so it's like, well, all that other stuff is not great, but this stuff's even wilder.
Yeah. It definitely I think
like the wasteland was not lacking danger.
No.
And now it's like there's even a place that like Ditzy Doo's like you cannot go in.
No.
You'll just don't. You die instantly.
Now, mind you, that is kind of a crux, or not a crux, but a keystone in the story, is that you cannot go into the center of the city. The core, is locked off, and that is something.
But
that's
obviously, it means we're gonna go there at some point, right?
Oh, next chapter.
You don't plant that seed.
Yeah.
Unless it's gonna pay off.
We talked about that in.
I will say, I think chapter 10 was the best written chapter we've had thus far, and 11 is good for the world building. There's more dialogue, right?
The thing is, that's the thing is, in this chapter, there's a mix where there's this one-upsmanship, which is kind of cringy and kind of but at the same time, the world building that Somber does about the hoof and the explanation behind it and the way that it's presented is actually clever, because there wasn't a museum in Fallout Equestria that exposed all this information. And there's a museum that's in Fallout 3 that exposes a bunch of information. So it's perfectly fitting to actually use that medium.
Sure. And that's one of the things I noticed in this chapter. This chapter felt more like Fallout 3 than the others, whereas some of the other stories that we've read have felt way more like New Vegas. This had moments that felt very explicitly like the DC Wasteland. Especially when we were talking about all of the insane military development and the politician. I don't remember who the male pony was that was talking about how we will, the stallion, I should say, we'll rise up, and this place that was once an area of peace will become the heart of our offensive potential, right? Yeah. This will become the research center where we will destroy, like literally saying we will destroy the zebras, not we'll defeat the zebras, we will rid the earth of them.
We will rend the stripes from their body.
It's not Earth. What's the name of the realm that they're in, right? Equestria is a land, but it's not the whole world. What do they call it? Like Mundus, like from Elder Scrolls?
It's one of the moons, sir. Yeah. That would be Nern. Okay, no. I don't remember what
You're
it would be.
Nern.
Nern!
Yeah, Revenge of the Nern.
We're all nerds down here.
So, moving on. As best as we can. Blackjack goes into this museum. She wanders her way into a museum thinking there's got to be some good shit in here. And guess what? There's no good shit in there.
No, it's a museum.
Yeah, and that's all that she keeps thinking that she'll find some weapons there or something, but what she finds is a trap, and I don't mean a transsexual pony. I don't mean it in that term. I want you to mean when I say a trap,
a small male pony that's trying to look like a female to trick other ponies into driving into the ground.
There actually was a pony in this story that she initially thought was a little filly.
No.
A pink filly, and she says who's actually a colt.
To quote Robin Hoodman in tights. Regulus?
Yeah, right. And demonetized. Cool. Well, it was a nice run.
Does the YouTube text filter pick up Yiddish?
It's time to demonetize.
Equus.
So, the real trap, is a bunch of crazy, not raiders. They seem to be intelligent enough.
Yeah,
they're trying to capture Blackjack alive for the Caps. And you can even hear them just like, shut up, man, stop, man. It's like, it's because you'll find it's like, we got to catch her alive.
No, we just got to get her.
And Blackjack is literally spoiling for a fight. She's just like, guess who's 98% healed up and feeling a little frisky
And
after
drunk.
she's had a little Wild Pegasus whiskey, which you can find in any ABC store.
Yes.
And
101
anyways,
proof.
fight ensues. I always imagine the, the fight music from Shrek,
Yeah.
Queuing on as basically this rumble goes on, and she like dislodges a dragon skeleton and then uses the dragon's claws to just basically fuck everyone up, beat their brains in with a shotgun, and she spares 2 of them and says, I'm going to heal you so that you can tell everyone else don't fuck with me or I'll kill them too.
I want you to remember the day that someone beat you.
Yeah. Well, and what's so funny too is like one of them was saying like, I don't think she's so. It wasn't that I didn't think she's so tough. It was just like, oh, what was it? He says something. He's like, shut up, man. She'll come back. Like she'll come back and kill us. But she literally takes.
She's a monster.
She takes all their weapons, all their supplies, and her dragon claw. Mm-hmm. Because why not?
Which is the
and their knife. She literally pulls one of their knives out and like just stab.
Yeah, and nearly cuts the. As is described, nearly gilds one of them.
Yeah, and I was going to say I know she's singing, but I don't know if she's actually audibly singing. Like, I don't know if they could hear her singing, because she's singing a little ditty about,
if
should have just brought the whiskey.
If I understand drunks well enough, as much as I have been around them, she's probably singing quite loudly, but in a tune that no one could possibly follow.
Well, what's so funny is the first time she talks to him, one of them says, oh my God, she's drunk. And I remember thinking, like, I couldn't tell if it was an affectation she was putting on or if she truly was that slurring her speech that much that they're like, oh my God, she's drunk.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Oh, the Shaun of the Dead.
She gets back.
I just realized that. The Shaun of the Dead reference.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she's drunk?
She's drunk, yeah. She gets back to, that's a good notice there.
Yeah.
She gets back to chapel. And there were some pilgrims that had come to visit Priest, and he always seems so dour. Oh, well, I always try and change their minds and see if a few of them will stay with me, but I can't stop their pilgrimage. And she doesn't seem to understand the situation, nor did I. The pilgrimage itself is not to holy sites.
It's a walk.
Yeah.
Long walk.
To kill yourself.
Yeah, it's the long walk.
Yeah, they wander into the hoof. To the core, and allow the
automated security system to
Yeah. Blackjack realizes this at the last minute, and she even says like, how could you? And I couldn't tell if she was addressing Priest or just like, the gall of anyone to do this in this world that things are so hard.
I feel like it's probably written in such a way to where it is just at reality itself. Like, of all creation, like, how could you
do this? People are trying so hard to survive, and here you're just going to go throw your life away.
Yeah, literally.
Says the one who keeps running into suicidal situation. Like, it's clear, like, she does things like she wants to die.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
So, in summary, what are your thoughts on this chapter?
My thoughts actually were something we may have talked about before, but I feel like it needs to be readdressed. Something about Blackjack, and just in a general part of the story. She's grown into a society which has never wanted for anything. Like, they have all of their needs met.
Right.
And they have drugs. And
whores.
And whores. Horse. They have alcohol. They have all of their life decided for them. Mm-hmm. So they live in this life of lavish luxury. So the only thing they go after is the most hedonistic pleasure activities that they can, which is drinking, drugs, gambling, and sex.
I did realize something today, and I hate to interrupt, but there seems to be parallels between this story and Fallout 2. Or maybe was it Fallout 1 where you were looking for the Gek to fix the water supply? And
That's one.
That's one. All right, so it reminded me of Fallout 1 in that regard, because I get this feeling that, that you can't go, sometimes you can't go home.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
She's doing all of this to protect her stable, but at the end of it, there's no way she can go back. Life will never be normal.
No. Well, yeah, that's a much deeper question of, like, where does the soldier go after the war?
Yeah.
Yeah, what happens to the soldier? Because the soldier doesn't stop being a soldier. You have to carve deep grooves into your own mind to take on that kind of affectation, and you can't always come back. There's a line men like us have to cross. But the point being that I was going to with her in the stable,
Did you just make a Spec Ops The Line?
Yes, I
reference?
did.
Never ends.
It never ends.
It never ends.
The ride, it continues.
Yes.
But I was going to say, she had all this. You notice that she kind of wanted to take command, and she kind of wanted to have a little bit of control in her life now. But she couldn't even clean up her own room.
Oh, no. Oh, wait. A Canadian lobster is telling me something.
My name's Kermit the Frog. I'm here to talk to you about taking care of yourself.
Kermit the Frog. I'm a pig fucker.
You ain't lying.
That's true.
That's some really mean thing to say about Brie. Oh. Now, see,
Well,
who is going to get blamed for that is me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good thing she doesn't watch this.
No. But getting back on point.
You're never going to get married.
No.
It's just never going to happen. You're going to have a weird coven of, like, confirmed bachelors, and y'all just hang out and, you know, do chores,
Yeah.
jerk off in your own rooms. live in the
An
dream.
eternal
dream.
frat house. An eternal frat house. That's what it is. No.
You have a harem, but it's just girlfriend pillows in your bedroom.
Yes. This one's Stacy. Could you just stop?
She wouldn't be Stacy. She'd be like Satsuki or something. It'd be a very Japanese name.
I'm not that much of a weeb.
He is the one that suggested that I should weeb out my Miata.
Yes. Itasha.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of doing something that's a little ironic, but you know.
Chris, why are all these thirsty-looking women on the outside of my car?
No. Not even thirsty, just Garfield. Just 90s Garfield. All over your car.
Gal Garfield.
It's 91, so it makes complete sense.
Oh
It
my
would be
God.
that. No, not a Higo. You don't have to actually go that far, but it's just Garfield. It's just like that 90s Garfield t-shirt, and Garfield that was fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
That would be on point. I was going to say about the story, and it's something. It's a weird critique for Somber, is that Somber almost shoots himself in the foot so often, and you've probably noticed this already, where he'll fall into these pitfalls of amateur writing, where you talked about the original Fallout Equestria, where it didn't feel like a fan fiction.
Right.
It felt like an actual completed book.
Sure.
There were a few spelling errors that you never noticed because you listened to the audiobook.
Right.
But a lot of the pacing and a lot of the events and a lot of the believability, the kind of scope and scale was very kept within itself. This feels a lot more like a fan fiction. And part of that is the constant one-upsmanship of itself and of the original
Canon.
work. Yeah. And so for that reason, I feel like that's Somber really shooting himself in the foot, because there are parts of this that are absolutely fascinating. Parts of the story which really are wonderful and should stand above and beyond many things around it.
I've got to say, seriously, the metaphor or the simile? Anyways, the poker simile in chapter 10.
Yeah.
Where it's like death is always in the corner.
Yeah.
Shuffling cards, ante up.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Great. Amazingly well-written chapter.
Yeah.
Very well-written.
And
The things that Blackjack is struggling with are fantastic. And then this I don't know. Like, there's things from this chapter that I like. I like Priest. He's an interesting character. He's written interestingly. He even makes, like, a little bit of a flirt at Blackjack one time, right?
Yeah. To show a little bit of his own, not human side, but equine side.
But even Blackjack questions, like, in this world where I don't feel like I can trust anybody, I feel like I'm going to come back and he's going to be eating babies, right? You know, that any minute something fucked up is going to happen.
And it does, but not in the way she expected, which is how the Wasteland works.
Right.
It's fucked up, but not in the way that you were expecting.
Well, and it's not, even then, he's not encouraging. I mean, I didn't get the impression that he's encouraging people to go kill themselves, because it sounded like he was trying to get them to stay with him.
You remember the pastor, not the pastor, it was actually just a dude who was up on, the cliffs of Dover in Britain, who would, like, people would go up and they'd jump off the cliff, and he would, like, walk, whenever he saw somebody about to commit suicide, he would just walk up and talk to him.
Yeah.
It's like that guy.
It's the best thing you can do.
Yeah. Because sometimes people just want to be heard.
But it was also in the same way that, like, Blackjack didn't understand to begin with when it says, oh, you have some pilgrims for you. And he didn't seem excited, right?
No.
Blackjack's like, but he's like a priest. Isn't this your job? You've got pilgrims. You should be, it's friends. You have friends. Friends!
I do like one of the last lines where the very last thing to Ash on the character is
With
the
the smile. And it's like, because of course
You
the
could
waste.
visualize.
Of course
you
the
can even
wasteland would do
visualize.
this
You
to
can
me.
see it in your own mind, the body like collapsing and decaying, and the very last thing that's
Well, and
hovering in air is
they're
that.
so crazy that's they're excited about it. That's their release. Finally, I'm free. But like, there's so many other ways to do that.
Yeah.
But I guess if you have a sense of bravado, right?
Yeah.
Of for the dramatique, right?
Yeah. Or you're kind of giving yourself over to the god machine.
Well, and that's one of the things we talk about. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really on the nose in this story.
It's super on
He
the
literally
nose.
he literally doesn't just call himself Deus. He calls himself Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
And then he says, in the zebra language, because they're Romans.
Because the Romans.
In the zebra language, it means they say God of the machine.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's the God machine.
Yeah, and it's not even the god in the machine because that's something else completely.
It is. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But we also find out more about the Reavers. Reavers? Reapers.
Reapers.
Reavers. Wasn't that Firefly?
Yes. Reaver is just a term.
Fuck that series. Unpopular opinion,
Yeah.
right? It's like, I'd already seen Farscape and Cowboy Bebop.
My sister actually...
I didn't need to see a shitty Joss Whedon version of it.
Okay, I see the thing is I actually didn't mind Firefly just because I love sci-fi in general, so I was like, I'm absorbing this
you
anyway.
want to have Nathan Fillion's babies. You want to have his butt babies.
No.
Yeah, you
His
want him to
face is
take
too
his.
weird.
You want him to put his big weird nose in your ear
his
and
face
blow
is so
bubbles on
weird.
your cheek.
No, but my sister actually saw like Firefly and she hit it perfectly. She described it perfectly. And you know what Firefly is?
What's that?
Doctor Who Medicine Woman. Which, for our younger fans, is going to go like, I understood Doctor Who, but what the fuck was the
What are
second
you
part?
talking about? Doctor Who's a woman, Chris.
It's like, okay, so for the fogies in the audience, you may remember a show called Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, which was a weird pseudo-western.
They don't remember that.
Which was a weird pseudo-western about this empowered woman who was a doctor, and no one believed her because it was the Wild West, and she kept coming out on top and saving the town, and yada yada.
Right.
The very popular '90s kind of thing, but that's where it comes from. So it's the '90s. It's the '90s Western aesthetic mixed with Doctor Who sci-fi.
Again, Cowboy Bebop meets Farscape. I think mine works just as well.
Yeah,
So-
it's not. It doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
So, but heaven forbid we speak ill of Joss Whedon, since we know K-Cat is such a big Buffy fan.
Yes,
Well,
big Buffy buff.
that was in the buff. That was the chapter. Those are our thoughts. That's how we feel. And yeah, about that. So, Chris, do we have any questions from? I don't really see any questions. I see lots of comments. I don't really see any.
Sky Arrow says, "I think Equus," which we already got to. I think that's the term they used for.
So, yeah. How long has it been since we did a Project Horizons episode? Too long.
I can look over there, but I just don't care to. It's been a while.
It's been a while. So, as we mentioned on the Prey episode, we will try and do these off weeks. 1 week will be Prey, 1 week will be Project Horizons until we finish Prey, and then it'll be back, full Project Horizons. I encourage you to go read Prey.
Yeah.
And to
Take
watch
that story.
To watch that series as well, because it's more of our knuckleheadedry, and it's fun. It's cool. And I am way out of my depth over there.
Yeah,
so,
it is a lot deeper. It's based way more heavily around the show events than the first Fall at Equestria was. So it's very heavily reliant on. I think K-Cat still does an excellent job explaining the characters well enough for you to understand who they are.
Sure.
Because I didn't see season 8 and I already knew who they were.
There's just a lot of terms and concepts you have to that you just don't understand.
Yeah.
And I'm used to a little bit of that in literature, but it's just like that first chapter was exhausting because I was really trying to pay attention, and I'd get to another paragraph and I'd be like, wait a minute, what the hell happened? I had to have missed something here because this doesn't make any sense. And it's kind of intentionally trying to make little sense because you're taking it from the perspective of a character that
That's a bigger hot take.
does not have what?
That's a bigger hot take. Firefly is a live action.
Remember, hold on a second, Chris. We have audio listeners. You need to preface when you're reading something from the screen. Now a comment from our people who are joining us live.
Okay, now a comment from our people who are joining us live on the YouTube stream, which is in the live chats over here. I'm going to stare at the screen, and I'm going to go through the different comments, and I'm going to say their name.
You don't have to be that specific. Don't be a shithead.
I'm going to say
just
it
need
out
to remember,
loud.
you don't listen to the audio podcast, and when you just out of nowhere say something off topic, it sounds crazy.
Okay, well, here's a hot take. They say Firefly is a live-action Outlaw Star.
What's Outlaw Star?
Never mind.
I'm sorry. It sounds familiar, but I've never seen it.
It's a Western sci-fi ship thing anime.
So, like everything else we've already mentioned.
Well, then again, so was Trigun, except it never went into space.
Yeah. So
Trigun was weird.
Trigun?
Yeah.
I love Trigun. What do you mean Trigun never went into space? They're totally.
I love how I said it's weird, and your big whole thing. They never went into space. Yeah, it started in space, and then they went out on the planet, but they never went back into space. They just stayed on the planet. They go into a fallen down the colony ship, the original seed ship that had fallen onto the planet, and they just go onto it, sure, but they never go back out into space.
Trigun is a fantastic series. I will not hear anything different.
Okay,
very well crafted.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's great. But saying it's weird, like, it's not as weird as fucking Foally Cooley.
That's intentionally being weird.
Right, but I mean, like...
There's very few things that are as weird as Foally Cooley.
Yeah, well, and there's stuff that's out there that's weirder.
Yeah.
If you can imagine it. But anyways, I just... Here, we're talking about anime that are 25 and 15 years old, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's been so much since then.
So let's talk about Gundam 0079.
No, you know what was weird that doesn't get enough credit for how weird it was Hunter x Hunter. There was plenty of weird shit in that series.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, you should. You should. It's like, you know how Dragon Ball Z did lots of really cool looking fighting, but the plot was just bullshit? Imagine if the fighting was fantastic and there actually was some good plot behind the fighting.
I do remember I did show you the old, not the more recent, but the old 80s Appleseed, which was hilarious. Because the story actually was quite impressive. They skipped over one of the bigger philosophical things that the original manga covers. But the misspelling on everything is hilarious.
I had a hard time watching
Olympus?
the original. I had a really hard time watching the original Gundams because it was such old anime that it just didn't look great.
No, it's very cheap.
It's like the people who are really into the Lupin the Third anime.
Yeah.
Like, not the manga, but I'm talking about the actual early animated show. And yes, I know Miyazaki was part of that animation team, but the early animated series was not super high quality.
No, yeah, because what effectively happened was they created the design aesthetic for the Castle Cagliostro, right? I'm thinking of the right name.
Yeah, Cagliostro. That's the Miyazaki film that he directed.
Yeah, so but they kind of made the aesthetic for how the show should be.
By the way, he toned down Lupin like crazy in that movie to make it so he wasn't so lascivious.
Yeah, and they kind of go back on the show where they make him a little bit more.
Yeah.
Also, I hate that they actually included the line at the end where they're like, "Oh, he's the ultimate thief. He stole her heart." Because I was like, "Of course, you're not supposed to actually say it. It's understood. That's how it works. We're adults here. Stop being dumb." Yeah,
the dub of that is there's a really good one, and then there's a really, really shitty one. Why is that? Of every anime, there's always two dubs. There's always one that's phenomenal, and then there's one that's crap, and you never know which one is playing until they reach a certain line, and you're just like, oh, God, it's the bad one.
Hey, look, Jelly Donuts.
Yeah.
Except for Cowboy Bebop, which just has the one, and it's fantastic.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So, in summary...
Masterclass, but also the only one of its kind and the only one that will ever exist.
If you like what Chris and I do here on The Foally of Man, check out some of the other things that we do on the Crisco channel. If you're listening to us at home, check out our Crisco YouTube channel. You'll find the link in wherever the links are on the description of the page that you're looking at there. If you really like what we do, please consider checking us out on Discord. We have a Discord for everybody that enjoys this show and enjoys some of the same topics where we just kind of hang out and share gifs and dumb shit and talk about funny things. And it is a nice, supportive, inclusive community where we make fun of each other, but we also show up to each other's events and such. I'd say it's a pretty supportive Discord. We'd love to have you there. We have a lot of fun. Lastly, if you'd like to support us monetarily, we have a Patreon and a Subscribe Star. So if you feel like throwing us a shekel too each month, we appreciate it. Helps us keep the lights on and the server running.
Yeah.
If you'd like to email us, one last thing. I'm not going to give any social media. We don't do social media. We had a Twitter for a while.
We just don't track it.
Yeah.
We don't put it
But we do have an email,
Yeah.
cbpbch@gmail.com. Again, that is cbpbch@gmail.com. There is no punny pun of the week. I'm sorry.
We'll
have
was.
one next time. What?
I even told you what it was.
No, you didn't.
Yes.
No, you're a liar. You're a fucking liar. You're full of shit.
What do you call a depressed pony that's going into a pity party?
I don't know, Chris. What do you call a depressed pony that's going to a pity party?
A saddle sack.
Whoa! The punny pun of the week.
Surprise in the last moment. And right across the line. All right, so bye.
Wait a minute. thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
For Chris, I'm Robert. It's been a whale of a time, y'all. Go home and hug your snoo and have a good old time. Your smizmar, as it were. We'll see y'all next time on the Foally of Man. 'Cause it's